Hello, Yakri here with another Dominions 5 video. I'm going to talk about expanding in the early age really quick here. I'm going to try and make this one a little bit faster than some of my other videos because really you don't need that much detail. So, for learning about expanding. This is the pretender I'm using, and these are the scales I'm using. You can just take it all in. The general idea here is to have a decent amount of income, not too concerned with research or bad luck. Sloth, I'm not totally sold that I actually want sloth here, but I've taken it anyway in order to squeeze in this nice powerful bless effect. This isn't necessarily like my #1 recommended build for this nation. I'm still experimenting with them, but I think it's good enough to do well against the AI and against early what's the word I'm looking for here? Province defense when expanding. All right, so I was trying to call it Bob, but I just realized while I was typing that in, it looks like I just called. It could easily be misconstrued as calling my pretender Boob. Whatever. I'm an immature person. It's probably just as accurate as a thing you could make assumptions about my personality from. So what we're gonna do for the first turn in expanding with this pretender is research, and we're going to make our starting commander, the Prophet. You want to do this for almost every nation in the game. The reason you always want to make your starting commander the Prophet is usually because you have sacred units that you want to bless, right? In this case, Chud Skin Shifters, I'm going to be using them. They're not the only option, though. We've got also the Chud Berserkers, which are very good. I'm going to get 2 of them as well. The reason you would want to do it even if you don't have sacred units, however, is because making your unit the Prophet allows him to smite people, which, getting like 5 extra unit kills in an early expansion effort can actually be very valuable to your ability to expand, especially on nations that have weak expansion armies. It's very, very good to have that little extra oomph available. So we're going to set up our starting formation. It's not too important to do this, honestly. But basically, I'm putting my crappy, useless guys right up front. Hopefully, they'll get shot by archers and die first because I don't really care about them. And next up, we've got our slightly more useful troops here. Just attacking the closest enemies that they can find. All right, so we end turn. We're going to ignore the scout. You definitely want to scout actually versus, what's the word I'm looking for here? Versus players. You totally want to scout versus players. So I'm gonna actually send him out this time. And you're gonna even want to recruit scouts from independent provinces and send out a scouting network and try and get an idea of what's going on in the map if you're playing versus players. I'm usually lazy when testing things in single player because it doesn't matter too much versus the AI. I don't take it too seriously. But versus players, it's actually very, very important. Now, you want your Prophet to cast spells. It's not too essential. You could just have him, oh yeah, you want to script him to cast Divine Blessing, so you definitely have Divine Blessing cast first, and then you could script Word of Stone or whatever other special smite spell you get for your nation, depending on your pretender's magic paths, but it's not too essential. He's generally going to auto-cast about the same thing anyway because of just how the auto-cast AI works. It's going to favor these spells for a priest since they don't really have anything better to cast. For Bob here, we're going to instruct the Earth Serpent to attack the closest possible enemy right off. Oh, and I forgot about how research works. So for research, you actually want to queue up some research. We're going to want Conjuration 3, Alteration 3, and Evocation 2. Now this is just for this nation, right? That this is really good for Rus. And other nations with similar magic paths, which is mainly that they have a powerful unit with Air 3, which means that you want to do the same thing because you're going to want Mist Form. Actually, let's do Conjuration 3 later. Mist Form, which is Alteration 3. For other nations, you might want to go straight to Evocation 2 or something like that. But this works well for a lot of nations. I can't really give you any better advice without doing like a whole tutorial on that separately, but suffice it to say, we're going to do that for this nation. As other nations, you're going to queue up slightly different research. You probably can't go completely wrong with just queuing up some evocation and hoping for the best. enchantment. And any nation with death, you do the same thing with enchantment. Just queue it up to 4 and pray, right? It'll probably work out. Okay, so with my prophet, I'm going to go into these undead lands. Undead are actually kind of shitty to expand against, but since I have my prophet there, he's going to cast... See, actually, I'm going to unqueue Word of Stone. He's going to cast Banishment against them, which is going to be extra effective because he's a level 3 priest, and that's kind of bad for undead to deal with. Now, Bob... the Earth Serpent has fear, right? So I don't want to send him up against undead, because undead don't experience fear, and he can't actually kill things very quickly. He just makes things afraid, and they all run away from him when they realize they can't kill his awesomeness. So you're just going to have him charge into these Bear Tribe guys, right? So heavy cavalry are very dangerous to pretenders. They have Lance Charge as an ability. It deals a huge amount of damage, and you can often have your pretender slapped with like a limp or some other negative affliction from getting hit really hard once with like a lucky Lance Charge crit, and then they'll get hit hard a lot more, and it can be pretty bad for them. They have fairly high attack in general. It's not good. You want to have like a horde of really pathetic troops for your pretender to fight. This guy could probably handle it, but it's best to be not risky when you're expanding with your pretender, because losing it is a really big deal for you. You're going to be very, very sad if you do. All right, so let's go to the next turn, and I'm going to look at combat logs the combat this turn to give you an idea of what's going on, and then I'm not going to look at it anymore because, well, it takes a while. All right, so we've got the Earth Serpent going up against the hordes of Bear Tribe, and he's just going to charge into them and not really give a fuck, because as you can see in combat here, he's got 27 protection, and he does not have his own blessing effect. That's annoying. I'm pretty sure that they only get their own blessing effect in their Dominion. I think that's it, but I haven't tested it yet. It's a new thing in Dominions 5. I think that's it, or it's a bug. I'm not sure. I've had this happen a few times before when I thought they were in their own Dominion, but I haven't tested it very effectively. However, the Earth Serpent is pretty great, and he's going to do fine anyway. Now, see, if I'd run him into heavy cavalry, though, and he didn't have that bless effect, well, that's going to make me really sad, because they could have crit him a few times, and he could be in bad shape right now. But they all run away, eventually. The Fear Aura, for those of you unfamiliar, or who are new to the game entirely, Fear Auras reduce the morale of enemy units every turn, and eventually they have to make eventually they start making morale checks to see if they flee from combat, and eventually they're going to inevitably flee from combat sooner or later with a Fear Aura. So that's what makes this guy really good, because if he survives long enough, he always wins, versus units that can be afraid, right? Berserking units and undead are not afraid, so it's not very good versus them. Some undead can be, actually. These guys he probably would have been fine, because it's mostly ghouls, and ghouls do actually have morale, although it's quite high, so maybe still a bad idea. Now, we're going to see our sacred units go. Now, these guys... Oops, where are they? These guys. So these guys have the benefits of our bless effect. They take half damage from all melee attacks. And this is going to be really good for them, because once they berserk, they're going to have protection 11, which is not bad. It means that these ghouls deal 11 damage, so on average they're going to deal 0 damage. And if they deal a little bit higher damage, it's going to be reduced by half. End result is that they won't be very effective at all. Oh yeah, that's right. And this banishment effect is particularly good because of our earth pathing on our pretender. So the prophet just chews right through the undead, kills them very easily. Maybe I'll watch one more battle with our good troops. Okay, so now though we can attack large tribe cavalry. That's a little dangerous, but you know we're gonna risk it. We can attack into spreads diseases. So this is a really bad magical site. Diseases. A unit that becomes diseased loses HP without healing and slowly dies over time. It takes about 10 turns to die. If you somehow heal them, it'll take a little bit longer than that. If they have regeneration, they'll never die. They'll just hold steady at their current hit points forever, unless they take damage and die from that, from some other source. But disease, very, very bad. You don't want your pretender to get diseased. You don't want mages to get diseased. This guy is great, though, because he has recuperation. Recuperation means he'll heal affliction. If once the unit gets old. Interesting. Well, this guy will never get old, so that's not a problem. Recuperation will restore any affliction, which includes diseased, so you don't have to worry about being afflicted permanently. It takes time for it to remove afflictions, but not long enough that like you have to worry about the Earth Serpent dying from disease or anything like that. It just matters in the middle of combat for the most part. Okay, so now we've got a lot more, oh right, whoops, we ran out of money for recruitment, so I gotta reset my recruitment, and we're gonna get some more Chud Skin Shifters. We're gonna just queue those guys up, set it to repeat, and hopefully everything will go well with our expansion plans here. Something you should know about expanding is, I wonder if I could actually succeed there. You know, I'm gonna try this. So this is a farmland province. I don't know if it has the actual, I guess I can't see the details on it, but as visually on the map, farmlands look different, right? So this is a plains, right? So plains don't have any special effects on them. Where's something with, here's woods. Where's the woods effect on this? Oh, there you go. That's where you can see it. It's a forest up there, right? And so if we see over here, this is a farmland, high income, low resources for your magic sites. So right now I could really use some more income. So I want to expand here and get this high income site. I could expand over here, but I don't have the minion there yet, so it's a little bit riskier to send my pretender there. Also, I need more resources for my castle here, right? Your castle or any fortifications will pull resources from adjacent provinces that you control, right, along these lines. So taking this will give me more resources, and taking this will give me more resources, but taking this would not give me more resources, only more income. So that's why I'm expanding in these directions. So I think my research is still queued up. My recruitment is queued up. I don't have enough money to afford anything else, and so we're gonna end the turn. Oh, I'm not scouting. I should be scouting. Easy to forget the importance of scouting. That's quite a complicated battle. All right, hopefully everything went well. All right, so I will actually watch one more battle here because this should be a little more interesting than the last one. We're gonna accelerate the time on this a little bit until these guys get close up. All right, so these guys, let's look at a couple of these guys. So these guys are extremely useful. They go berserk, right? Berserk means that when they take damage, they gain 99 morale, right? Which lets them pass all morale checks automatically, and they can't flee from battle, which is a good and a bad thing. And their attack skill, strength, and protection are increased, but they gain fatigue, extra fatigue and stuff every round. Mostly it's very, very good. It means that they're going to do a lot more damage, they're going to hit more often, and they don't take as much damage. So it's quite good for them. Russ and a few other human nations get berserk is like a big deal for them. So it's quite nice. My sacreds have it as well. So these guys, they're going to be berserking werebears is what they are. I'm trying to get these guys to actually shift into werebear form for the camera. Let's see if they actually take enough damage for that to happen. Nope, they didn't. Wow, geez. Just completely overrunning these guys. What do you know? Well, that's great. Nonetheless, so we continue to succeed in expansion, and I think I'll expand this way next and go over and take that province. So Earth Serpent doesn't have any problem expanding. Now he's got his bless effect because he's in his own dominion. It's very nice. Well, it's now Barbarians. These Barbarians are particularly dangerous to expand into because they do like about 20 damage per hit, each of their troops. They're going to be really effective against our troops because of that, and especially the bears. The bears, when the bear guys transform into bears, they become a larger size, and unit sizes are a whole thing on the battlefield. If you're a larger size unit, you can be surrounded by more units, and if those units deal very high damage per hit, that's pretty bad for you. So we don't want to do that. We're going to fight these guys instead, and we're going to die really easily. They don't deal as much damage, so our protection is worth more, kind of. I'm basically not going to have to worry about our units getting bursted down and dying. Okay, so for the other thing we're going to want to do is now we have enough money that we can actually start recruiting units to go along with our expansion, to go with our expansion forces and expand outwards. So we want to recruit some more guys. All right, this guy's good. So this guy has 125 leadership, so he's a good leader. He's a priest too. Perfect. We'll recruit one of him, and then we can send him out with the rest of our sacreds as an expansion force in a bit. So we'll drop that guy off the recruitment chain because we don't have enough holy points for him, and we'll add in a couple of these. Yeah, 2 of those Chud Berserkers. So, and turn. All right, the scout's not doing anything, so I should really be scouting ahead. So I send out a scout. Let's see if there's anywhere else where I can recruit. Oh, yes. So this isn't going to be the case for all nations. Some places you're going to have to try and find scouts. So let's see if there's any of these have indie province scouts. I don't think, I don't have access to indie scouts anywhere. But some provinces will have scouts on them that you can recruit, that just anyone can recruit. In this case, Rus has access to their own scouts, their own special Rusian scouts that they can recruit. I can't because I don't have enough gold. But at this point in the game, I would probably recruit 2 or 3 scouts and send them out in different directions and try and get an idea of what's going on and who my neighbors are and that kind of thing. Alright, so the Earth Serpent has had a final jolly old time. We've lost basically no units over here. Everything's going pretty good. We're not going to look at any more combat logs because we got an idea of what goes on there, and we're just going to keep expanding. And then I think after I go here, I'm going to sweep upwards, which going through these 2 might get my expansion force killed, but so be it. We need to take over that area anyway, sooner or later. All right, so we've got a nice elite group of troops here. Now you might notice that this is not very many troops compared to how many I had in some of the other areas, but the fact that they are pretty much all sacreds is going to count for a lot. You need a certain number of them so that they don't get surrounded too badly and die, basically. If you have just like, there's only a few very, very elite troops that can handle being like a 3 or a 4-man expansion force that can just take out a bunch of troops. Because like for these guys, they're quite powerful. I think their total hit points are like in the 50s. And they do a lot of damage, but basically if they get surrounded too much because they don't have very high defense and they don't have any sort of passive way of killing things, they don't have a fear aura or a heat aura or anything like that. Those are like really good ways to like passively diminish the effect of being surrounded. Since they don't have anything like that, they're going to just take too much damage and die before they can really kill off the enemy force. So you need like a certain critical mass, and when there's like a bunch of units, like it spreads out enemy attacks enough that you're not going to just get wiped out instantly, and that's what you need to go far. Where was I going with that? Basically, you can't even though there are some other troops that are seemingly about as good as these sacreds that might be better at expanding in smaller numbers, but these guys in particular, you don't want them to get surrounded. So I need at least 10, but 10 can handle a lot of guys. I hope I don't just like lose the battle right after saying that, because that would be embarrassing. I beat him, no problem. The Ched Berserkers both died. That's kind of sad. All right, we're gonna I just said I wasn't gonna watch any more battles, but we're gonna watch this really quick because this should be a nice, like, these are really dangerous troops to expand against, and yeah, they do a huge amount of damage early on, and my guys shift into bear form, right? So this is pretty great. Bear form is fantastic. You get another attack. You get 45 additional hit points. What's that put them at? Like 19, so that's 54, 64 hit points. Very high, actually. It's like on par with giants, at least some giants. And so they actually make pretty quick work of these guys. They can't deal that much damage to them. Not all of them even get shifted into bear form. Berserk makes them a lot tougher to deal with. They just end up doing a lot of damage and not taking very much because of the blessing effect we have. And they slaughter their way through it, no problem. Okay. So over here, everything went fine. Now we're going to start expanding into harder to deal with forces, which might not go so fine. We'll see. These guys should be able to handle quite tough expansions. We're going to go over here and try and sweep upwards. The goal is to, by the end of this year, we're in early fall, so by like midwinter, we want to have like 15 provinces, which I think we're going to be on track to get no problem. We have currently 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and we're going to get 11, 12, 13. If two more rounds, if this next round and the round after of expansion go well, we should be in business. Okay, so now we don't have a commander recruiting anymore because we didn't have money. Okay, so these are your big, expensive, slow to recruit commanders. You don't necessarily want to recruit them just every turn forever, but you want to get a couple of these guys because they're very good. Most nations will have a similar troop that you're going to want at least a couple of. So we're going to grab at least one of these over the next couple turns, and then we're going to start just getting regular mages because we haven't been getting any research done. Normally I would have liked to get research done a little bit earlier, but we didn't because we didn't have enough money to recruit units some turns. All right, so these guys are doing extremely well. See, none of them are dying. They're killing everyone. That's what I was trying to get at with the talking about how you need like a critical mass of units, right? When you have enough of them, they don't really take casualties. But if you have just a few less, they would start getting a pretty good amount of attrition and they'd all die eventually. These guys in particular, that's true of because they have this recuperation, so they're like battle injuries like that are going to slowly wear off and they'll be able to keep fighting indefinitely, whereas other units would kind of accrue those over time and eventually they would all die. Let's go that way, yeah. And then, oh, it looks like it's not a lot of barbarians. That should be fine as long as I'm expanding in my own dominion. We'll send the scout out this way, and just to be a good example to you guys, I'm going to recruit a couple scouts, even though it's in versus AI game. All right, and end turn. So let's see here. If all these win, we'll be perfect. We'll be a little bit ahead of schedule. All right, well, that's unfortunate. Is this the big? This is the one I thought I was going to lose potentially. Yeah. So this one didn't work out. We couldn't take it. We lost, and our guys had to retreat. So that's fine. I think we'll send these guys back to base for reinforcements. How far can they go in one turn? Over there. Okay, so we're gonna go back to base for reinforcements. No big deal. Kind of half expected that to happen, but we did capture that province, and we did we not capture that province? Oh, right, we went this way. And we captured this province over here. We're gonna spike even farther down. And at this point, you know, if there were other players playing, I think I wouldn't really be able to expand all the way down here, and this would probably be taken. But since it's AIs, I don't think I filled it up completely. There's a lot of extra room, and we're very much on track expansion-wise. So I think I'm about done with this tutorial, such as it is. Mostly, you've been watching me. I've explained a few things. And so with these scouts, which I should have recruited like 2 turns ago, I'm going to send them all creeping outwards, right, into the unknown. And let's see, go this way. All right, so I send scouts out in every direction, and that'll give us an idea of where everybody is a bit more. You should generally have, like, I don't know, 4 to 8 scouts. Kind of depends on the size of the map and how much information you really need. You want to at least have, like, 1 scout in every neighboring kingdom so you can see in advance if they're moving armies to attack you or whatnot. Let's see. I got 1 of those guys, so I probably would change over to Russian wizards for a little bit. All right, I think I'm done. I think I'm pretty much done. Let's end the turn just so that we can get those last battles out of the way. Earth Serpent killed everything just fine. These guys killed everything just fine. Look, still none of them have died. Oh, beautiful. And they can probably kill their way like back up that way too, without too much trouble. I'll just kill across the river and they can cut up that way. All right, I think I'm good. So we just send our scouts out farther and continue ad nauseum. There's more advanced stuff I could do, maybe in a different tutorial video. I've saved this as something so I can come back to it later. But pretty much we're just going to keep recruiting these guys. We're going to build more forts and recruit more Chud Berserkers at other places. We're probably going to focus on Chud Berserkers and recruit anywhere we have these bear warriors. They're undisciplined, so I'm not sure that makes them too good, but they're really good for other things. Like they're stealthy, so you can actually sneak them into any enemy provinces and attack from behind enemy lines type thing. You can do some good stuff with that. You can let's see, what you're going to do is we're going to get Conjuration 3 and Alteration 3, which is going to give us the ability to thug a little bit, so we can have our dudes sneak behind enemy lines and like solo kill, or actually not so sneak because they don't sneak, but just attack enemy provinces that only have province defense by themselves. We're going to get Evocation. After we get this Conjuration 3 and Alteration 3, we're going to get Evocation all the way up to 5, and cast Storms and Thunderstrike because we have lots of Air 3 mages. Air 3 mage is really good. Casting spamming Thunderstrike with Air 3 mages is super good. The Earth Serpent is going to stop expanding. Probably would about now normally in a normal game, and then we're going to use that high-powered Earth magic with Evocation to cast spells like Earthquake and Blade Wind, and with Alteration maybe some other more useful Earth buffs. And yeah, that's kind of how the game's going to go from here on out. Doing tutorials into the mid-game dominions is kind of hard to do because it's so nation dependent, and whatnot, and it's kind of hard to do in a versus AI game, but I think this covers expansion pretty well. Covers at least the basics of how you set up your troops. In this, I didn't really do anything special because I actually want this guy as a fighter too. If he was not a combat type, I would put my troops out like this. That's one other thing to talk about, right? Like if he was squishy, I would not put them all around him because he could get shot by a random arrow, but he's not. He's actually tougher than these guys are, so I don't have to worry about it, right? Because he is a... Oh, wait, he's not. I shouldn't have done that. Okay, well, normally I actually use these guys as commanders a lot of the time too, right? And these guys can shift into bear forms. They have 64 HP as well. It's not really a problem. But yeah, usually you keep your troops out in a line in front of your commander. Yeah, I think that covers pretty much all the early game tactics and stuff that's hard to expand into. There's some things I haven't mentioned, like elephants, war elephants. Those are hard to expand into. Cavemen aren't too hard, but if you have a small force of elite units, they can be dangerous because they hit hard. Heavy cavalry, already mentioned, hard to expand into. And somewhere around here, there's these. I guess they're not in here, but there's these like amphibious guys. Oh, these guys. Yeah, here we go. Fuck, I can't pronounce it right. All right. I can't do it. Crap. I'll have to look that up later. Icarid. That's probably wrong. Icarid. I'm gonna say Icarid anyway. These guys have multiple attacks. They have like a bite and a spear thrust, and so they're actually deceptively dangerous, and I've accidentally killed my Earth Serpent on them before in other games. What else to go with that? Throne provinces are often deceptively dangerous. They'll seem kind of nice, and there's actually like 4 mages in there, and they'll just fuck your shit up. I don't know if there's anything else I really need to cover for early expansion. I think this is a pretty good like general tutorial to how you expand. It's going to vary from nation to nation, Certain nations have special expansion strategies, but in general, there's going to be like some elite unit and like sacreds, and you can recruit sacreds if you have a bless, or just the elite unit if you don't. And a few nations will flip that on its head, and you'll recruit some garbage unit like the Russian hunter. I wouldn't do it for Rus, but for other nations, they'll have like a garbage unit like that, and you just recruit like 30 of them per turn, and so you expand with like a force of like 60 of those plus some normal units, and it works okay, and they die pretty quickly. But you churn out like an expansion force every 2 turns like that, and they like take 2 provinces, and then they're all dead. Yeah, that pretty much covers it. I'm gonna do separate tutorials eventually on like battlefield magic and scripting and spell schools and all that fun stuff. But this should get you started, and you can try and figure stuff out from your own at this point, because you'll at least have some territory to go from. I would say an awake expansion pretender, especially one like the Earth Serpent that's very easy to not die with, is a good choice for a new player. Basically, any other option is going to be more difficult for you to get your head around. Especially now that dormant or imprisoned blessed gods are kind of not a thing anymore. All right, well, I'm losing my voice from doing tutorial videos, so I will see you all later. I hope you enjoyed.